Breakfast Club. Jimmy popping all that bull. I be seeing Jimmy talking about we Gucci boo boo. He in the Gucci store. Talking about we Gucci boo boo. The Black King they was going fuck up. Jimmy they was like, Marita Monero.
Jimmy was not a rapper then.
Right.
He was your man, like on the side, like on the side, just he was not a rapper at all.
Right.
So when Ballin' took place, and I'm looking and I'm going, oh, he having a moment. That's the Lloyd Banks. It's Lloyd Banks thing.
When 50 Cent sends a warning, the whole rap game listens. And this time, his target wasn't just any rapper. It was Jim Jones. What started as a slick comment in an interview turned into one of the coldest warnings hip-hop has seen in years. Because when 50 speaks, it's not just noise, it's strategy. His reputation isn't built on random posts or emotional reactions. Every word, every caption, every reminder carries weight. So when he jumped on Instagram with that chilling line, "Some of y'all better chill before I remind the city what really happened," the internet froze. No tags, no names, just that one sentence that had everyone guessing. Fans immediately knew who it was about. And they also knew if 50's threatening to remind the city, someone's about to get exposed. This wasn't about music anymore. It was about respect, history, and a silent message only real ones could decode. It all started with one casual jab. During an interview, Jim Jones threw shade that didn't sit right. He said, "A lot of these dudes act tough for the cameras. We know who's really outside." That line hit hard because everyone instantly connected the dots. In this game, subtle shots don't stay subtle for long. Within minutes, the internet exploded.
He wanted that. He was watching them be that, like Mace be that and Cam be that, and looked at, and it was finally, he had one.
Mm-hmm.
And I just looked, and I knew, I just took the shot, Murder, to see, because I wasn't sure he was going to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, we like Jimmy better than you anyway, Cam. Then you got to watch and see how he responds. And then when you see, he like, oh, he really like that. Give me this. Give me Jimmy. Yeah, tell him we want him. We want you at the show, Jimmy. Yeah, but that was one of those things I just threw it out and see what. And then when he bit to it because it was like he was having a moment that not sure that was going to ever happen again at that point. And then he's going, for them, they had records that were. Look, I always say this to certain artists, I go, damn, when is he going to have his moment? Like, Fab.
Comment sections flooded with fans tagging 50 Cent, saying things like, "Jim better chill," and "He's talking about the wrong one," because 50's reputation goes way beyond lyrics. He's been through things that most rappers only rhyme about: industry wars, street beefs, and real-life battles that gave him scars and stripes. So when Jim questioned anyone's authenticity, especially someone like 50, it was bound to spark a reaction. What Jim probably thought was just a throwaway comment turned into a match that lit a fire across hip-hop, and everyone knew it was only a matter of time before 50 struck back. But 50 didn't respond like most rappers do. He didn't drop a diss track. He didn't go on a rant. He didn't even mention Jim's name. Instead, he posted one photo on Instagram with that cold caption, "Some of y'all better chill before I remind the city what really happened." That one post sent waves across the culture. It wasn't loud, it was surgical. Because when 50 moves, he moves like a chess player. Every piece, every word, every silence has meaning. The "remind the city" line was what made people lose it. What did he mean? What city? What happened? Everyone started connecting dots, digging through old beefs, old street stories, old footage. And 50 just sat back, watching the chaos unfold. That's his art form. He never gives you the full story, just enough to keep everyone talking. It's not about clout for him. It's about control. And that post reminded everyone, 50 still controls the narrative, even in 2025. To really understand why 50 Cent's warning shook the industry, you have to rewind the clock back to a time when New York ruled hip-hop like a kingdom, and two of its fiercest crews were fighting for the throne: GUnit and Dipset. It wasn't just about music. It was about identity. It was Harlem versus Queens, Flash versus Ferocity. Cameron and Jim Jones built Dipset on energy, swagger, and style. Pink fur coats, icy chains, and slang that took over the culture. Meanwhile, 50 and GUnit came with precision, intimidation, and that raw, unfiltered hunger that made the streets listen. In the early 2000s, both crews were at their peak. You couldn't walk down a block in New York without hearing Many Men or Oh Boy blasting from passing cars. Each camp had its own universe, its own sound, its own loyal fan base. But behind all that success, tension was quietly building. They didn't always take direct shots at each other, but there were subtle moments, radio interviews, magazine quotes, a little side-eye here, a jab there, that hinted at something deeper. Cameron once called out 50 for thinking he runs New York, while 50 mocked Dipset's flashy style in interviews, saying all that fashion doesn't make you real. Fans saw it as competitive energy, two empires measuring each other's power. But to insiders, it was clear. There was a line between mutual respect and rivalry, and both sides were getting dangerously close to crossing it. And while Cam and 50 were the faces of their movements, Jim Jones was always the soldier on the front lines. He was loud, proud, and fiercely protective of Dipset's legacy. He wasn't afraid to speak up when he felt disrespected. That attitude made him a Harlem legend, but it also made him a target. Because when you go against someone like 50, who thrives on pressure and plays psychological chess, you're stepping into a game you can't control. Fast forward to now, nearly 2 decades later, and the landscape looks completely different. The rap game isn't run by crews anymore. It's all about individual brands, content, and strategy. But that old school energy, that territorial pride, still lingers. So when Jim Jones threw that recent jab, saying, "A lot of these dudes act tough for the cameras," it wasn't just a comment. It was a spark. For the fans who remember the GUnit versus Dipset era, it felt like déjà vu.
It was as if 2005 suddenly came back to life. Comment sections filled up with old clips of their interviews, old beef tracks, and legendary moments from mixtape DVDs. People started reminiscing about the days when rap beefs weren't just about posts. They were about pride, block by block. For younger fans, this was history being rewritten in real time. For the older generation, it was nostalgia mixed with disbelief. Are we really doing this again? But here's what made this moment different. In the 2000s, both sides had something to prove. They were climbing, fighting for respect. In 2025, only one of them is still standing at the top. 50 Cent turned his hustle into a billion-dollar empire. TV shows, liquor, film studios. His influence goes far beyond music. Jim, meanwhile, has stayed active in rap, dropping music, building businesses, and keeping his Harlem pride alive. But in the hierarchy of power, the gap is massive now. That's what made 50's warning so much heavier. It wasn't a clash between equals. It was the boss reminding the streets who built the foundation. When he said, "remind the city," it wasn't just about calling out Jim. It was about reclaiming the timeline. He was saying, don't forget who really made New York fear his name. It's poetic in a way. 2 decades after their first subtle clashes, they've ended up right back here, one still defending his legacy, the other proving he never lost his. And while Jim might have thought he was just giving his opinion, he accidentally poked at one of the most calculated minds the rap game has ever seen. Because for 50, every feud is a chess match, and history always finds a way to repeat itself, especially when he's the one moving the pieces. See, 50 isn't just a rapper anymore. He's a global brand. He's built empires in TV, film, liquor, and beyond. When he posts, it makes headlines. When he speaks, people listen. He doesn't need to prove he's real. His life's already proof. Jim, on the other hand, is still trying to remind people that he's outside, that he's Harlem's voice, that he's still relevant. But in 2025, that kind of energy doesn't hit like it used to. The culture evolved. It's not about talking tough. It's about making moves. That's why this moment felt like a power shift. 50's warning didn't sound like a diss from one rapper to another. It sounded like a boss checking an employee, like a reminder that there's levels to this. Jim may have been trying to start a debate, but 50 turned it into a display of dominance. And that's what separates him from most. He doesn't chase moments, he creates them. When 50 Cent typed out that one sentence, "Some of y'all better chill before I remind the city what really happened," he didn't just post a caption. He dropped a coded message that hit harder than any diss track could. Within minutes, every blog, forum, and comment section lit up like wildfire. Fans weren't just talking, they were investigating. Because that phrase wasn't random. It sounded personal, like something that carried real history behind it. But what exactly did he mean by remind the city? That question alone kept thousands of people scrolling, speculating, and arguing for days. Some said it was a reference to old Harlem Street situations that most fans never knew about. Others believed it was connected to something deeper, old industry stories that were quietly buried years ago. And then there were those who claimed 50 was hinting at receipts, things that could really shake the foundation of certain people's reputations if brought to light. And that's where 50's genius shows. He understands that mystery is power. The less he says, the louder it echoes. Everyone else is out here over-explaining, dropping full videos and rants, but 50, he knows silence builds tension. He lets everyone else do the talking while he watches from the shadows. He never clarifies, never confirms, never denies. That's his art form, psychological warfare. You can't fight someone who doesn't show you their next move. As theories spread, some fans started digging up old interviews and street rumors from the early 2000s. Clips resurfaced, showing moments between Dipset and GUnit that fans had forgotten. A few old associates started dropping cryptic comments online, things like, "He's not lying, the city knows," and "If 50 starts talking, a lot of people are going to disappear." Suddenly, this wasn't just internet talk anymore. It felt like 50 was holding something nuclear, waiting for the perfect time to detonate it. And Jim Jones, his name started trending again, not because of new music, but because everyone wanted to know what 50 was referring to. Every podcast host, every reaction channel, every hip-hop outlet was breaking it down like it was an unsolved mystery. What's the story behind the warning? What does 50 know that we don't? It became a cultural moment where everyone wanted answers, and 50 gave none, just that lingering tension.
Then fans began to notice something even stranger. Old stories about Dipset's past beefs and street affiliations started quietly reappearing online. Threats from years ago resurfaced. Old YouTube documentaries were suddenly getting new comments and thousands of fresh views. It was like 50's post had triggered a ripple effect, forcing people to revisit the past. Whether intentional or not, he made the culture start talking about him again. And that's exactly how he wins every time. Because here's the thing. 50 doesn't need to drop an album to dominate a news cycle. He doesn't need a press run, one phrase, one caption, one photo, and the world spins around his message. That's power. Remind the City became more than a threat. It became a meme, a headline, and a mystery all in one. Even people outside hip-hop were talking about it. TMZ covered it, academics dissected it, reaction channels milked it for weeks, all from 7 words. And still, through all the noise, 50 never followed up. He didn't explain, he didn't double down, he just disappeared back into his business empire, posting about movies and liquor deals like nothing happened. But that's the brilliance, because every time people think it's over, he pulls another move. Every silence is a setup, every post is a test. So now that single phrase, "remind the city," sits like a time bomb in hip-hop culture. Nobody knows when or if 50 will ever remind the world what really happened, but everyone knows one thing. If he does, it won't just be a story, it'll be a reckoning. And until that day comes, the whole rap game stays on edge, because when 50 Cent hints at a secret, it's never just talk. It's a warning that the truth still lives in his back pocket, waiting for the right moment to explode. After 50's warning went viral, everyone waited for Jim's next move. Would he clap back, drop a diss, go live and talk his talk? Instead, nothing. Jim went quiet. No posts, no interviews, no energy. And that silence spoke volumes, because in this game, when 50 calls you out and you stay quiet, it's not peace, it's pressure. Fans noticed the shift immediately. Even people close to Jim were allegedly telling him to let it go. Because when 50 gets involved, you're not just dealing with a rapper, you're dealing with a strategist who can flip your words into a storyline. He's proven it time and time again. Ja Rule, Diddy, countless others. Once you're on his radar, he doesn't forget. That's what makes him dangerous. He doesn't move for attention, he moves for impact. So as Jim stayed silent, the tension only built higher. Everyone knew it wasn't over, it was just beginning. What makes this whole situation wild is that 50 didn't even have to drop a song to dominate headlines. Just one post flipped the internet upside down. That's power. He's playing a different game now, a game where attention is currency, and he controls the flow. 50 turned a single sentence into a week-long conversation across the industry. People started comparing careers, pulling stats, debating who's more relevant. And no matter how you look at it, the outcome's the same. 50's been rich, respected, and feared for over 2 decades. Jim's been working, but most of his biggest moments now come from interviews, not hits. That's the uncomfortable truth fans started pointing out. And that's what made this story bigger than beef. It became a reminder that respect in hip-hop isn't just about music, it's about legacy. 50 doesn't chase validation, he already owns it. By the time the dust settled, one thing was crystal clear. When 50 Cent says, "I'll remind the city," it's not a punchline, it's a warning. This wasn't about songs, numbers, or charts, it was about dominance. 50 used silence and mystery to control the narrative, turning a casual diss into a cultural moment. Jim Jones might have thought he was sparking friendly competition, but instead, he woke up a sleeping giant. Because 50's not just a rapper, he's a strategist who built his empire off precision and timing. Every word is a move, every silence is a message. And right now, the entire rap game's waiting to see if 50's next reminder will just shake the internet or completely expose it. One thing's for sure, when 50 Cent sends a warning, you don't respond with words. You just wait and hope he doesn't decide to make an example out of you next.